Okay, so this is chapter number 3 of class 8, Parliament and the Making of Laws. So as we all know that recently our Parliament building, actually we know that Parliament is the law making body. You can say this is the most powerful body, because we have democracy in our country, and in this we have representative democracy, which means our representatives will sit in parliamentary body and they will form the laws. So this is our new parliamentary building, and we have also started with the first chapter, that parliamentary form of government is one of the important features of constitution. So we'll today learn that. This is the new building. You can write in the comment section what is its name. In the class I have told the students, I had shown the picture, so if you remember, just write the name. Okay, why should people decide? So it is like in India we have the decision making power, right? We elect our representative, and we make our government, right? So why this right was given? So there's a story behind it, or you can say the whole Indian national movement. So if you know about it, so at that time all the people, whether they are from any caste, any gender, or any region of the country, they all participated in this struggle to get the independence for India, or to get the freedom for India. So for that reason, and before that time, we all were like, the citizens of India were not citizens, they were subjects, and they were not having any kind of rights like today we have fundamental rights, voting rights. So at that time they were not having any kind of right. That's why we had to give our people the respect in the society, and that's why our constituent assembly members, or we can say our leaders, decided that we have to provide them these rights to decide for the country, because this belongs to them, and it's a kind of it gives the responsibility to the people to run the country. So that's why it was decided to give the right to people. And the inspiration of forming a parliamentary form of government we got from certain acts of British government, like the Act of 1909, which allowed for some elected representation from India. At that time the government was not from completely, it was not formed from the people, like with the help of the people of India, but there was some representation given to Indian people, but most of them were Europeans. Okay, so that's why we got the universal adult franchise in India, which means that every adult will get voting rights to choose their representatives. Okay, and now one very interesting fact, that this voting right and adult age in the beginning of the constitution formation was 21 years, and later in 1989 it was reduced to 18 years. You would be telling in the comment section that which prime minister did this in his time period or her time period. Okay, now here, because we have to choose our representative, so there will be some process, and that process is known election. So that election earlier was conducted in a traditional manner, which was known as ballot box system, but that has a lot of problems, like at that time corruption used to happen. It's still happening, but at that time it was more, and due to that ballot box in which they had to uh, stamp the paper on which the preferred party and their symbols were given, so it used to waste a lot of paper. So the new machine which was introduced was EVM, which means electronic voting machine, and it was first time used in general elections of 2004. So there is difference between general election and assembly election. So when we talk legislative assembly election, so when we talk about general election, that is for Lok Sabha, and legislative assembly election, that is for Vidhan Sabha, which is for a state, particular state. Okay, so this started, and after that paper, a lot of paper was conserved, we can say. Okay, now people and their representative, like how do we give representation in parliament, like the citizens. Okay, and now we have the age 18 years and above, that is the adult voting age. Okay, now the when we like continue with democratic system, so we have to take consent from everybody in the society, like every citizen from the society, and that is known as approval from everybody, and that will help the people to participate in the government. So for that process, it is very important that they should get the chance to vote and elect their uh, people, whoever they want, representatives. So that is how it works. Okay, people would elect their representatives to the parliament, and then one group from among these elected representatives form the government. It means there will be many parties, many political parties, from where we will select one by giving them majority of the votes. Okay, when there is central government election, or we can say Lok Sabha election, or we can say general election, there the total number of seats are 543. So what are these 543 seats? 543 seats means there are total 543 segments of India from where we will elect the representatives. Now what is these 543 segments? They are known as constituencies. Now let's define constituency. So constituency means an area which is divided for the purpose of election on the basis of equal population, so that every part of the country have somebody to represent that area in the parliament. So that is the constituency, and from every constituency one person will be elected in the parliament. Okay, now you can see the earlier condition when ballot box was used. So at that time, no, this is not ballot box time, this is when the EVM started. So this is polling station, they are going to polling station in different ideas. So if you have seen that movie Newton, you will see such condition in like live. So you can see that movie, that's a good movie. Okay, the above idea of representation has been an important theme जिसके बारे में you have learned in class 6th and 7th also. Okay, now there are certain questions you should go through, and you should identify the difference between the MLA and MP. Okay, so I think you remember 7th class you learned about state government and their election. So in state government we choose or we can say legislative assembly election, we choose MLA, which means member of legislative assembly, and they work for a particular state. But when we choose MP, means member of parliament, they will work for the whole country, they will make laws, they will implement them. So that is their work. Now this is your new building of parliament, and this is now the new Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So here are some information given which is important, and this is the updated one, because in the previous book you can see the old pictures and old informations are given. So you can see here the parliament, first picture is showing the parliament, which is Sansad. In Hindi we know it as Sansad, because in different countries there are different names given to their parliament. Like if you talk about Japan, it is known as Diet. If you talk about Israel, it is known as Knesset. So there are different names given to, and if you talk about Russia, it is known as Duma. So in India it is known as Sansad. It has two houses, one is Rajya Sabha, another is Lok Sabha. So in the if we talk about Rajya Sabha, it is known as Council of States, okay, with a total number of 250 members. So here the strength will be 250 members, and it is presided by the Vice President of India. So we had discussed in the class that it is Jagdeep Dhankar, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar, the Vice President of India currently. And if we talk about Lok Sabha, it is known as the House of People, and the third picture is of your Lok Sabha. So here 543 members are there, and it is presided by the Speaker. Right now, the Speaker of Lok Sabha is Om Birla. Okay, now we'll talk about the role of the parliament. What is the role of parliament? So if we talk about the role of the parliament, basically we can divide it into three categories. One is to choose the national government or form the national government, and second we have this to select the national government. This is the first thing. Second, we have the role of opposition, where we see to control, to guide, and to inform the government. And the third thing is your lawmaking. So these are the important role of our parliament. So let's see how these roles have been performed by our parliament. Okay, so if we talk about our parliament, it is formed after 1947, and it expresses the faith of people of India, which is completely based on, or we can say which is reflected through the principles of democracy. These are participation by the people in decision making process and government by consent. The parliament in our system has immense power. How? Because it is the body where the representatives of people are sitting and they are taking decision for the whole country. And if ever comes in your mind that why don't we have direct democracy where everybody sits together and decide, which is actually there in some small areas like the villages or in the local government, but it cannot happen for a country which has huge population like more than 140 crores. So that's why we choose certain representatives who will take decision on behalf of a certain population. So that's the problem. I mean, we can say that's why we have representative democracy and not the direct democracy. Okay, so when election happens, there are two types of election, as we know. So the Lok Sabha is usually elected once in 5 years. Okay, and then the country is divided into numerous constituencies, which I have explained you, and which you can see here from the election of 2019. And if you want to go to the current data, so you can go for 2024 election as well. So here you can see different parties have won different seats, and if you see the first party is Bharatiya Janata Party, and it won 303 seats, which is more than majority. For majority we need 50% plus 1, or the total number of seats is 272. So this party won majority. And if we talk about the opposition party, the second party here is Indian National Congress, which won 52 seats. It means that is the second highest number, and they form the opposition. And other leaders also, like other parties who have won 1, 2, 3 seats, they will also sit in the parliament and be the part of the opposition. Okay, now let's see the next thing. So here we have how we continue with the work. So I told you the elected members of the parliament are known as MPs, and they together form the parliament, and there are two bodies, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, parliament has a composition where three things are there, or we can say three division is there. One is your Lok Sabha, second is your Rajya Sabha, and third is your president. So all three comes together and form the parliament, and their roles are very important. We'll learn in the further part. Okay, now you can go to the next part. Okay, why there is one more elections details are given, because this is showing how no party could get the majority, and in that case one coalition was formed. And what is the meaning of coalition and why? You can see there are different parties, and no party has won 272 or more than that. So that's why these parties came together. Some parties came together, and if more than one party comes together and form the government, in case of no majority by one party, that is known as coalition government. And you can see here the details are given below the table, that in 2009, that is the 15th Lok Sabha election, no party got the majority. In that case, INC with some other parties formed the coalition that was known as United Progressive Alliance, which is UPA, and they formed the government. So that information you need to know. And same happened this year also, that BJP couldn't get the majority, due to which they had to form the alliance with the other parties, which is, that alliance is known as NDA, which is National Democratic Alliance. So that formed the government. Now here, to select the national government, parliament, okay, that was what I was telling, that president, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, these three are there in the parliament. And after the Lok Sabha election, a list is prepared that how many MPs belong to each political party, and then the seats are allocated. Then the majority number, which is 272, has to be achieved by some party, and if they're not able to do that, then they form the coalition government. And the second largest party, which has won the second largest seats in the in the election, general election, they will form the opposition party. Okay, that would be known as the opposition party. Okay, and now Lok Sabha's most important function is to select the executive. How? Because when you make law in the parliament, that has to be executed, implemented, enforced, and for that purpose we need a body which is known as executive. So executive's work is to enforce the law. So it is done by the prime minister and the cabinet, its cabinet. So the prime minister is the executive, or we can say the leader of the ruling party in Lok Sabha. As we know, currently it is our Mr. Narendra Modi. He is the PM of our country. So then he decides, or she decides, the prime minister decides who all ministers will get what position and what work they will do, and then they take oath, and then the charge is given, like who will get the health ministry, who will get the education ministry, and who will work in that department. So that's how the ministries are divided. And when it is like given, the departments are given, then they start working. I have told you already the coalition government's meaning and examples, so it is given in the last paragraph. Now you can see new pictures are given. It is also in your book, but it is the new one. These are the two buildings of the Central Secretariat, the South Block and the North Block, where which was built in 1930s. Left photo, which has actually both are having the dome. So you can see a left is the South Block and right is the North Block. In South Block, there is the house of PMO, like Prime Minister Office, and there is the Defense Ministry, and then you have Ministry of External Affairs. And if you go to the North Block, you can see there is Ministry of Finance, there is Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, the other ministries of union are located in the various buildings in Delhi. You can see in Delhi there are many buildings of the ministers, and different ministries are here because this is the capital, administrative city of the we can say of our country. Okay, now what is the role of Rajya Sabha? Lok Sabha we understood, Rajya Sabha. So in Rajya Sabha there is the representation of different states. So people from different states, like there will be some MLA of different states, they will be representing their states in Rajya Sabha, and there will be some MPs as well. So they together form Rajya Sabha, and there are total 250 members, out of which 233 are elected, and they are elected like indirectly, and 12 are nominated by the president. Now why they are nominated by the president? Because there are certain areas where they have certain excellent work done by them, so they have been elected for that reason. Like certain movie stars, like from there are different areas like art, literature, sports, like that people have been elected there. Okay, so Rajya Sabha work is to review and alter the laws initiated by Lok Sabha. Like if there is any law initiated by Lok Sabha, it will be passed through Rajya Sabha as well. So they will scrutiny, they will like check it properly if there is the law is made according to their states as well. So that is the role of Rajya Sabha, and they also give the suggestions to modify them. But it does not happen in the case of um, one bill which is, and there are many bill which is passed through, I mean initiated through Rajya Sabha as well. But one bill which cannot be initiated in Rajya Sabha, that is your money bill. Money bill can only initiate in Lok Sabha. Okay, that's why Lok Sabha is more powerful, and it is the body of elected representatives, so that's why it is more powerful like your Lok Sabha. Okay. Okay, now next is to control, guide and inform. So when we talk about to control, guide and inform, first you have to understand the meaning of these words. When you talk about control, it means if there are any decisions or the MPs are misusing the power, the parliament, the opposition can control them, and then guide them to see the matters which they have ignored, the ruling party have ignored, and or maybe they couldn't take it, so that is informed, and they have been guided how to take decision in certain cases by different discussions and questions which are asked in the questionnaire. Okay, now one more concept which is important, which is questionnaire. So the parliament, while in session, there are 3 sessions of parliament in 1 year, and there would be gap of 6 months between 2 sessions. So there is one budget session, one is winter session, and the third one is your monsoon session. So these sessions are there, and in every session there is it begins with a questionnaire, and questionnaire is important because it gives the chance to MPs to ask question from the government, that if there is any thing which is not being done properly, they can ask questions. So you, if you have noticed, sometimes in news also you can see there are many ministers shouting on the ruling government or prime minister that why are they not doing the work properly. So this is very important. Through this is very important mechanism through the that the government is alerted about their wrong decisions and about their shortcomings. So that is important, and that is the role of this system. Asking questions of the government is a crucial task for every MP. The opposition parties play a critical role in healthy functioning of democracy. Why? Because they highlight the drawbacks or the shortcomings in various policies and programs of the government and mobilize popular support for their own policies. Okay, now this is one example given how a question is asked and how it has been answered by the ruling government. Okay, now when the government gets the feedback, they work on it and then they improve their decision. In addition, all matters dealing with finances means money related things, the parliament approval is crucial for the government. This is one of the several ways in parliament controls, guides and informs the government. Now after this we have the next thing, which is how do the new laws come about. So at a time when we talk about the Britishers, there were certain laws which were not for the public, for the citizen, and the government was quite arbitrary, means they didn't want anyone to criticize them. So for that thing they had one law which was known as Sedition Act. It was passed in 1870, according to which if anybody says anything against the government or criticizes the government, they will be put in jail or they will be punished. So this is a kind of, we can say, exploitation, or you can say a law which is oppressive. So this does not happen in democratic system. But yes, the government should be criticized in a manner where you are not disrespecting any position in the government. Okay, now how do the new laws come about? So new laws come about with a certain procedure. So what happens, we'll see through one example. So let's see. So the parliament has an important role in making laws. There are many ways through which it takes place. So we'll be seeing how it works. So you can see here we have a goal also, that is gender equality, and that is the sustainable development goal 5, which says that everyone should have equal rights in the society. So when we talk about our society in India, we have a patriarchal society where male has more power and they are dominating, due to which in the early time there was a lot of we can say a lot of atrocities were faced by women, and that was known as domestic violence. So we'll be talking about it. So domestic violence generally refers to the injury or harm or threat of injury or harm caused by an adult male. So it used to happen, you will see through that storyboard that it used to happen a lot at that time, that the husband used to beat wife or abuse wife, or were not giving money which they required. So it, in this way they used to harm them in a different way, like or verbal or economics or sexual. So in these way they used to abuse them, and that needed to be need or we can say that needed to be resolved, because women were facing a lot of problem, harassment. So that's why a new law came, which was known as the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, and it helped to understand the meaning of domestic violence, which was in which domestic to include all women who live or have lived together in shared household with husband, male member we can say. So it can be for husband, daughter, or for the mother as well. Okay, so they were facing a lot of violence from the male member. So that has been given in the storyboard, and it has told that in 1991 the problem was addressed, and from there the then when the problem was addressed through so many cases, people started talking about it and started protesting against it. So then it was noticed, and then committee was formed, a committee to go through this problem and identify the problem and the solution. A committee was formed and they worked on it. They presented a report in 2002 in the Rajya Sabha, and then the problem was heard in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha both, and then 3-time debate happens. I will show you from here. So in December 2002 the standing committee submitted its recommendation to Rajya Sabha, and then as I told you, the law can be initiated from Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha both. Okay, so in Rajya Sabha it was initiated, then it was tabled in Lok Sabha as well, and there was there three times debate happens or discussion happens, reading of the bill happens, and after that the bill was accepted. And when it was accepted, so then the bill was reintroduced. Actually there was some recommendation was given on the definition of domestic violence, it should have been broadened. So then it was broadened by 2005, and then it was passed by both the houses. When it was passed by both the houses, it was signed by the president, and then the bill became the act or law. Okay, so it was the bill which was known as, it was the act which was known as the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, which was which came into effect in 2006. Now how this bill was important, this bill was important to identify the problem in the society of domestic violence and to provide the justice to those women in that case, and punish those people who are doing domestic violence. So there are some posters given. One is this, which is showing that in a relationship there should be equality and there should be no violence. Okay, now if we see that example, how did people know about such problems? So those people, the problem was known through different medium, like we have learned in 7th class also, TV reports, newspaper reports, and then a radio broadcast, local meetings when people sit together. There are so many things through which people know about it and they discuss about it, and on every stage people's opinion come out comes out, so that is important. Okay, then we have one more example given here, which is of Rosa Parks from 7th class. You know about it. So there was a woman known Rosa Parks. She was an African American, and she was not supposed to sit in a particular uh, bus, but in a particular bus seat. So one white person came and he told to just stand from there. She didn't stand because she was so tired. So this refusal started a movement in that country, and that movement went for like almost 10 years, and then one right was passed, which was Civil Rights Act, and the movement was known as Civil Rights Movement. And this act came in 1964. And how did it help? It helps the society and the African American, or we can say everybody. There was no discrimination after that, which could be seen earlier, the racial discrimination. So the discrimination was prohibited on the basis of race, religion, on national origin of in the USA. So that this is how people's initiation always help to improve the condition of society. So in present you can see that Dr. Momita's case, in which the people are protesting, and the discontentment, or we can say the anger of people toward that person who did it, or the people who have done it, can be seen. So this is the way how we can protest against the laws which we don't like, or the condition on the society which we want to improve, and we want law to be made on those conditions. We can help this way. Okay, now there are certain laws in the society which are unpopular or controversial. So there are so many controversial laws. If you talk about Farm Bill, if you talk about the NRC bill, which is National Register, and there is one bill, CAB, and CAA. These were so much like in news or in controversy. So these are known as controversial laws. And there's one more law which is mentioned in your book, which is you can say, and that these laws are criticized a lot. And how the people criticized it? By holding meetings, by strikes, like public protest. You can see there is a lot of public protest in Jantar Mantar. So this is how we do it. And the candle march, and then you can see newspaper reports, TV channels, then they don't accept such laws. Whenever there is a law which is not accepted by the people, which is made by the parliament, so they start protesting against it. Okay, those are known as controversial laws. So there is a large number, and there are some examples also given of the unpopular law or controversial, you can say. Like there is a law that various municipal laws on the use of space within municipal limits often make hawking and street vending illegal. So when we see people selling things in the local market, the vendors or the hawkers, they are illegally doing it, but they have not been removed from there. Why? Because that's their livelihood. So how can they remove it from there? And people, like, no one will dispute the necessity for some rules. Okay, so that's why these rules are being ignored, and this is their means of livelihood. So that's why it is, we can say, it has not been changed, or we can say nobody has asked question on it. So this is going on. So these are some unpopular law. Okay, the court has the power to modify such laws or cancel law if they find that they don't adhere the constitution. So we know, and we will learn it in the next chapter, that this kind of laws have been questioned in the Supreme Court by certain people. So we'll be talking about it. And here you can see some people are protesting against the government, or some issues which have been taken into account by the people. Okay, so this is how we understood the role of parliament, and MPs are uh, playing very important role, because they have a particular area or constituency in which they have to see all the things, they have to take care of the work of that area, or progress of that area, problems of the people in that area. So this way MP's role are very important, and this is how the parliament perform its representative functions properly, if they see each and every thing and they take care of their constituency. Thank you so much.